don't grab green and equipment. Show a good fight. Shake your hands, back to your corner.
And here we go. We are underway here. Eagles Fighting Championship 7. Going immediately for a takedown is Catalin Casaru of Romania. See if he can finish this thing off or not. He might get caught in that guillotine if he's not careful. Boy, he is trying to rip his head off right now. Is the Belarusian fighter as they tumble down to the canvas. On top now in the full guard is Casaru. Undefeated Romanian fighter making his debut here at Eagles Fighting Championship is Bondar now, trying to tie him up as best he can. Clamping his arms together. Casaru still inching forward now, trying to create some space so that he can land some blows just like that. Bondar, though, very aware of what's going on here. He can't decide if he's trying to move into position for a submission. He's moving his hips from side to side for a moment, and then he goes back to trying to control his opponent's head, trying to keep him as close to his body as possible to prevent those strikes and perhaps even get this thing stood back up. Bondar trying to make a bid to get back up to a vertical base, was shut down. Now he's got some space to work with, and there falls back into the guard. Casaru time ticking by here. Casaru on top nearly the whole fight. Went right for a takedown right from the opening bell and has been in this position ever since. Bondar looks like he's trying to get this thing stood up. He's holding on to him pretty good here. At least control the shots. He doesn't want to take any damage down there. Casaru, as I mentioned at the outset, very, very skilled at finishing fights. Knows how to get on top of somebody and throw some bombs, and Bondar very aware of that. Short little shots going in to the side. Casaru doing his best to stay active, look for openings, keeping his hips high, his legs spread wide. Coming up on 2 minutes left in the fight now. Excuse me, in this opening round. This one's scheduled for the normal 3 rounds of 5 minutes in the lightweight division, 70 kilograms. Very competitive division here. We already saw Daniel Filipski get a victory earlier over Radu Mihaita in that division. So wonder if the winner of this fight could be in position to get a title matchup. Now there's some space here. Solid shot, though, landed by the Romanian. Fairly uneventful round thus far. This cat and mouse game continues here with Casaru on top. Judges don't have much to score on, do they? I think at the end of the day, you have to give it to who's in the more advantageous position, and that would have to be Casaru. He's the busier guy on top. He is landing punches. He's doing just barely enough to keep this thing from getting stood up. And Bondar's strategy here could be backfiring on him as long as this thing stays where it is. I think you'll have to give it to Casaru as far as round 1 is concerned. We're inside 30 seconds now, and now the referee finally calling for a stand-up. I don't know why he's calling for it now. wasn't any less action now than there was before. And he didn't see fit to stand it up, but nonetheless, here we go. Definitely what the fans want to see. That's it. Second round underway. Well, there wasn't even a replay there. Between rounds, there wasn't a whole lot of highlights to show. We'll see what round 2 brings us. And we immediately go right back down to the ground and right where we came from. Bondar on his back, tying up his opponent. Casaru back on top. Sneaking around up there, landing in little shots to the body. Once in a while, tries to drop a bomb on the head. But for the most part, not a whole lot of action. Bondar now manages to get a leg on top here. He's slowly trying to slap on that triangle, but he's not necessarily... No, he's out of it now into side control. So now we'll see something different here as Casaru still on top, still controlling the position, trying to get rid of that right arm of Bondar. Bondar is nearly out, and he sneaks out the back door. Back up to a vertical base now. He sprawls out, and both guys ate a shot there that time, I believe. Now you can really see the height differential. The Belarusian fighter a lot taller, as he went for a spinning back fist that time. He's got to be careful about the elbow. There's no elbows allowed here under these rules. Bondar looks like he's a little bit tired in there. His guard is down quite low. You can see he's breathing heavily in there. It's no fun being on the bottom for a round and a half. He's also got some kind of scratch marks on his chest. You can see he's got his hands on his hips. Casaru taking his time though, patient. He's not moving in on his opponent. Got to be careful of that reach. Two minutes gone by now in this second round. And again, neither guy really willing to go out and expend a lot of energy on the other. Both guys very cautious so far, whether it's on the ground or on their feet. Well, you can hear the crowd reaction to that right hand. Bondar knew he was out of range and didn't throw a whole lot of steam behind it. Neither guy willing to take a chance here. We've almost got ourselves a stalemate. At some point, if you're the referee, you've got to make a decision here. You going to take a point away from these guys or not? If there's no action, then you're going to be forced to. Referee Ivan Zavtone looking on with a... Now he's warning them. Casaru moves in with the right hand, but just a glancing blow. Not finding any luck with those low kicks either. There's a low kick in return from the Belarusian. Casaru's having a hard time here with this range. He's kind of cautious about getting too close because he knows that Bondar has a great reach advantage. But on the other hand, he's not willing to gamble and rush in on his opponent either. And that's the trouble he was having in the guard on the ground too, is really getting close enough to him. Well, that one got close enough to somewhere it shouldn't have. Now we've got another break in the action. See if we can catch it. Oh, yep. Bondar taking his time as well, he should. A lot of guys want to rush right back into action. Sometimes it's good just to get right back in there. You've got this adrenaline. You don't want to get that adrenaline dump. The crowd here, though, solidly behind these guys. They want to see some action. But Bondar and Casaru to this point, both playing it pretty safe. Quick little jab. Seems like Bondar's kind of got a second wind right now. Goes for a takedown and gets it. And now we'll see what Bondar can do on top. On the bottom, he's very cautious, playing defense, trying to tie up his opponent. Casaru not doing that now. Casaru trying to make a move and ends up on top. End of round 2. I'm not sure if it was more eventful than round number 1 or not, but at least there was a few strikes standing up. There was a takedown. There was a low blow. There was a little bit more going on in round number 2. But if you're scoring this thing based on excitement and fight of the night, not going to get it up to this point, though. Here we go, round 3 action. Mikhail Bondar of Belarus in the white trunks, Catalin Casaru of Romania in the black. A couple of cautious rounds thus far out of both gentlemen. Bondar getting the crowd back into it here. Head kick attempted by the Romanian. Bondar fires back. I have a feeling here that both guys are going to try to give it their all here in this final round. They've got to. There's not much between these guys so far. I think you'd have to give that first round to Casaru for basically just staying on top the whole time. Bondar a lot more active in that second round. We could have a case of it's 1-1. If they gave the second round to Casaru as well, then Bondar really has his work cut out for him. Interesting that the bout has gone thus far the way that it has, because Casaru is a fighter who's known for finishes. He's 3 out of 5 wins have come by TKO. And he's a finisher. Usually a lot more aggressive so far. He got caught with a right hand there. Both guys connecting simultaneously there, and Casaru gets the takedown, but again gets caught in that guard. Half the time gone by here in this third and final round. And again, Bondar more than content just to wrap up his opponent behind the neck, try to keep him as close to his body, try to avoid as many of those strikes as possible. And the referee not going to put up with it for as long as he did in the first 2 rounds. Bondar's coach telling him to get to work. Looks to have a little bit more of a sense of urgency, as we're about 1:40 left in round number 3. Could have been an incidental poke in the eye there. Inside low kick by Casaru, misses by Bondar. Leg kicks are connecting from Casaru. Just about a minute left in the fight now. If somebody's going to impress the judges, they're going to need to do something now. If you're going to pull a rabbit out of your hat, if you've been waiting till the last minute to try to do something big, well, it is the last minute. Now these guys are starting to open up. Bondar throwing head kicks in there, spinning back fists, trying to get the judges' attention. The crowd's starting to come alive here in the Manage Arena as the two start to mix it up now. More low kicks from Casaru. Bondar, hands on his knees, almost daring Casaru to hit him. Keeps backing up though, keeps that distance, well, a lot of the distance. You can hear the whistles now from the crowd. Certainly not appreciative of that. Spinning back fist blocked, and that's the way the fight is going to end. Kind of a sour taste in the fans' mouth here as you take a look at Doran Damir. Kind of a confused look on his face as well. Sometimes not every fight is fireworks, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes that's the way it goes. Very strategic fight, a very cautious fight from these two. As we take a look at some of this round 3 action, or a lack thereof, however you want to look at it. Looked like they were starting to come alive there at the end of round number 3, but then as we headed into the home stretch, it kind of all fell apart again. Neither guy willing to take a big risk. Perhaps a little bit of respect, maybe a little bit too much respect for their opponents. Sometimes you just gotta let the chips fall where they may. But not this time. Not this time around. Judges still tallying the points. Maybe they're having trouble scoring this thing. Maybe they fell asleep at ringside. Who knows? I think those looks on those gentlemen's faces pretty much says it all as far as this one is concerned. We have seen some incredible bouts, though. Up until this point, Almost every fight was fireworks. This one was a little bit of a turd in the punch bowl. Still waiting on the official announcement. I believe we have it. We'll send it up to cage side.
By judges' decision, the winner is Catalin Casaru!
Well, they said it was a decision. They didn't care to say what kind of a decision it was. But Catalin Casaru gets his hand raised. He remains undefeated. And I believe that Casaru maybe did a little bit more. He was on top most of the time on the ground. I think he was more active in the striking at times. Landed a lot of low kicks, but that was about it. Coming up next, we go to 84 kilograms. Arslan Estelemov taking on Nikolai Skorohud. Stay right where you are.